The Celtics are 3-0. Some interesting decisions on rotation, some interesting performances from the Stars, and the Celtics are ready to take on a team in Milwaukee that is 1-2. It's all right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Thanks to Blockbuster brand, it's holiday season, drop Drew in the mix. And 3 from KP, no we not on the Knicks. Flushing competition like Al on Giannis. Juice and Big Juice, still B-Town's finest. Banner 18 going up in the rafters. Watch the C's game in locked on after. Karalis on the breakdown, clutch like a tip from D. White on the breakdown. John on the mic, documenting domination. Matter pen a back bay, it's all C's nation. Rainer J's how we started, raising business, how we finish. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners. Peace.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast. It's right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every day, and I've got you covered every Monday through Friday with free podcasts and bonus podcasts on the weekends. This week, oh boy, lots of podcasting this week, because not only have I got you Monday through Friday, but the Celtics getting ready to take on the Charlotte Hornets Friday night, Saturday night. So I'm podcasting every day this week. Post-game podcast Friday night, Saturday night, then go through Sunday. So it's like 11 days of podcasting, not whatever it is. It's a lot. It's all free. It's all there for you. So if you subscribe, make sure you get into that YouTube page, get into the comment section and let me know. I'm John Karalis. I've been covering the Celtics for about 20 years at this point, doing it right now for Boston Sports Journal as a beat writer and as the author of Built Different, celebrating Banner 18. You can still get this book, bask in the glory of the 18th banner, by getting this book personalized and signed, and give it as a gift. Keep it for yourself, whatever. JohnKaralis.com. Go ahead and do that. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers, you can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. We're going to talk about the C's 3-0 start with our buddy Tom Westerholm, better known by his name in the recording industry, Tom Ye West. Welcome aboard.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Oh yeah.
That reaction was muted.
Much like Kanye, I'm being muted and by the industry. Yeah. No.
I'm gonna let you finish.
Yeah.
But
I don't
first,
think you are.
I'm not.
I have nothing to add. Tom Ye is pretty good. That's a pretty good one. Cap to you, sir.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to be running out of those. So I don't know. I want to continue the bit. I just don't know when it's going to run out of steam. It's one of these days it's just going to stop, and that'll be the end of it. All right. Yep. At least this time I remembered the NBA belt on the YouTube page. We'll see how long I remember that. It's my own creation. They did this for me, and I keep forgetting to put it on there. The Celtics are still the NBA belt champions because they are 3-0. Mm-hmm. So we'll talk about the other stuff like the 3-pointers and maybe some warning signs. I don't know. We're grasping a little bit on that. But let's start with that win in Detroit, where I think in the past I might have been like, you can't let up like that. You got up 23 and you can't let up like that. I think time and experience has kind of got me to the point where it's like those games are going to happen. I'm not worked up about that anymore. And I think maybe the championship has kind of like taken the edge off of that for a lot of people. You're like, yeah.
Including the Boston Celtics, I think. I don't think it's just you. I think the edge is,
Yeah. But it was, look, impressive that they came back and won the way they did. They settled down. It's classic. It's a very classic good team. Go up big, give it away. The Pistons are scrappy. I said it in yesterday's podcast, the bonus podcast. You said it before we started. Give the Pistons all the credit in the world. The Celtics got up 23. They were playing the right way. They were doing a lot of the right things. They were also blistering, smoking, incredibly surface of the sun hot. The Pistons never kind of got demoralized there.
Yeah.
And they were always hitting shot. They hit enough shots. They didn't have the best percentage early on. They ended up having a pretty good percentage, but they just hit enough shots. They did enough things to just like, hey, look, we're not gonna let you go up 40. And then they made their run. So credit to the Pistons, man. The Pistons, you can almost kind of see it. I can kind of see where they're going.
You can, man. They're at that fun kind of stage where it's like the young guys are no longer just kind of like conceptually good. They're the young guys are starting to get actually good at basketball. The wins are still theoretical, right? Like the wins are still like I can see how this could amount to wins at some point in the future, but Cade is really good. Like Jaden Ivey is going to be, I think, a pretty fun player. Like there's some stuff there, and they've got NBA players on the roster now. Malik Beasley is like that's a guy. Like he plays NBA. Like that's the guy is
guy.
Like they got Tobias Harris, who's a guy.
He's a guy. He's a guy. He
plays basketball.
He plays basketball. What happened to Tobias Harris, man? He was good.
Yeah.
He was good.
He was a good player.
Yeah. I don't know what happened to him. I mean, he's been around for a while. Maybe he just doesn't have it anymore. Maybe Philly broke him.
I think Philly might have not been maybe very good for him. Yeah. Neither here nor there. I think Detroit was fun, right? Like that was a fun game. I thought honestly my two biggest takeaways from it were, number one, Jayson Tatum is doing some stuff, man. Like this guy's like he's a streaky kind of guy. He's historically been a streaky guy. I don't want to jump too far over my skis or anything like that, but if this keeps up, and there's more reason to think that it's sustainable this year, I think, than in previous seasons. And if this is sustainable, I mean, you're looking at a pretty special season from a pretty special player. And I think the other thing is like, hey, like, yeah, they let the lead slip away, right? That happens. At this point, a 20-point lead in the first half, I almost expect that to be gone by midway through the third quarter. I just don't think that's going to hang around. Sometimes the Celtics do it by just continuing to hit threes in the second half. That's more power to them. But I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, how dare they let this slip away. To me, it's like, hey, midway through the fourth quarter, late in the fourth quarter, you go down by 6 and you get enough stops and you get a couple of big buckets from one of your good players who hadn't been having a good game up until that point. Yeah. That's championship stuff, man. That's a team that knows how to win and that said, like, look, respect, you guys are scrappy, you guys played hard. We're the better team. Thank you. Good job. This is ours now. You guys can, we're not gonna become not undefeated by the likes of you. It's like that's a championship team. They rallied in a championship kind of way.
I think that the play that sticks out to me the most, aside from everything Derrick White did, right? Like, can we just first as a side, like Derrick White might be, like, seriously, I don't want to say this the wrong way, but like I feel like Derrick White might be just like the best pure basketball player on this team. Not because like there's like Jaylen and Jayson are obviously better by a mile, but like because they're so much more talented, they can do more things. I think Derrick White is just like pure just basketball fundamentals and instinct and knowing what to do. I'm just like, man, he's so good.
If Tatum wasn't such a good defender and such a good passer, I might be on that with you.
Yeah.
But like, I'm definitely willing to hear second, I think that's true. Yeah.
Just pure basketball, not like best player.
Yeah.
But like basketball hoop, like, just the guy that is, I don't know, man. Like he doesn't go off on these little tangents very like, he'll heat check every once in a while, but like he does when you need somebody to do something good, he is almost always there to do the good thing. I compared him to Han Solo on my Boston Sports Journal piece. When Han Solo comes in to blast the TIE fighter so Luke can blow up the Death Star, That's Derrick White. Derrick White does the big thing so someone else can do the biggest thing. Like that's Derrick White. He's like, that's the best way I can put him. But the play of the game to me was Jaylen Brown driving at the end, starting that comeback down 6, drives left, goes up, looks like it's going to be a clean layup, but it's a late contested. He makes the read. No, I am not going to take the contested layup. Kicks it out, swing, extra pass to the corner, Jrue Holiday 3, and it's like, finally Celtics basketball. That play to me, I was just like, oh, that's exactly what Joe Mazzulla wants. It's exactly what it should be. It was like math in the moment where like, oh my odds of making this layup suddenly have gone down significantly. I'm going to in an instant realize that and kick it out, and we're going to work to the highest percentage shot, Jrue Holiday in the corner uncontested. So that to me was like
and because best. The Celtics are so cohesive that he knew where to pass it too. Like
that's right. The guy was there. Everybody just kind of snapped into place. Is just perfect. Yeah, that was absolute perfection there. And to your point, for a team that had been imperfect for, like, they started out for a quarter, basically through 4 minutes to go or so in the second quarter. So, yeah. And then the whole third quarter sucked, and half the fourth quarter kind of sucked. For that team to all of a sudden just be like, oh wait, no, boom, we're awesome again.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do about that.
Yeah.
But interesting rotations here from Joe Mazzulla as part of this whole thing without Sam Hauser. And it did raise some questions. I'm gonna bring them up to you because I mentioned them yesterday. I'm just curious with some of the decision making here because we'll get to it in just a second. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sports book. And right now, new customers, you bet $5, you get $150 in bonus bets if you win. So you can tackle the NFL action on FanDuel on their sportsbook, on the FanDuel Sportsbook app, because it gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So if you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and a ton more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Make sure you're using their tools to gamble responsibly, set your limits, set your budget so you're having fun and not going overboard. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. We've got a new newsletter right here. Your favorite podcast has the Locked On Celtics daily newsletter, one stop for ultimate team and the league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free right now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com, and start your day with the all-new free Locked On Celtics newsletter. All right, let's get back to our conversation here with Tom. Whoops, there he is. Tom Ye. So Sam Hauser, he's questionable to return against Milwaukee. Some, lower back soreness. So he becomes a dad. I don't know. Something happens with your lower back. I think every dad could probably be like, yeah, my back is always hurting. So he has some low back soreness for some reason, but he's fine. But interestingly, didn't go to Jordan Walsh until basically didn't go to Jordan Walsh at all. Mm-hmm. And if it was fine, I wasn't thrilled that they played the main guy so many minutes. I wasn't thrilled that Al Horford played the 32 minutes. Not a big deal because Tatum hadn't played the first 2 fourth quarters of the season yet. So it's right. So playing some big minutes here, absolutely not a big deal, but also I don't want that to be the habit. If a wing goes down, I want the Celtics to be able to ascend another wing and not have to go double big and not have it to just be, Tillman's going to get the extra minutes and you're just going to go double big. I thought that's why Jordan Walsh was, getting those minutes. And if you're going to cut Lonnie Walker, why wouldn't you keep Lonnie Walker? If Jaden Springer isn't going to cut it, then why not keep the guy who could kind of contribute in those moments? I don't know. Very interesting rotation decisions there.
Well, it's funny too, right? Because it's like last year's team. You hate to the end of the bench last season was probably pretty overqualified, right? Like they were to be in kind of the situation that they were in, and but on the other hand, it gave the Celtics a better setup for moments like this, right? It's like okay, O'Shea Brissett, pretty good player. Like you could have really used somebody like that last night. Even like a Svi Mykhailiuk. It's like, hey, this is a guy who plays in the NBA, like a guy, like we were saying, like actual guys. And yeah, if Jordan Walsh isn't that guy, that is fine. That's not like that huge of a surprise, but it does. I mean, the Lonnie Walker point's interesting, right? It does kind of raise that question. I thought it was notable that 4 guys scored the first, what was it, like 68 points or something like that. They had like 4 guys with like 15 points or more, and nobody else scored. Like, this team has plenty of depth. It is kind of interesting what happens when some of the secondary depth goes away, because they were okay, right? Like you said, they were fine. That rotation that they played can win a lot of games. But if somebody else does get hurt, and they do get to a situation where they need those like main guys to play more, is that going to be kind of awkward this year? I think that's worth wondering for sure.
Can I just throw this out there too? The Maine keep doing that. Maine Celtics put out their training camp roster. There's no Lonnie Walker on that. I think he's just cut. I don't even think it was a cut and stash. I think he's gone.
Yeah.
What am I missing? What am I missing? Why is Lonnie Walker out? I'm going to say out of the league right now, because I haven't seen him hook on anywhere yet. Technically speaking, he's out of the league. He cleared waivers. Any team could have picked him up on that Exhibit 10 contract. So why is he not good enough to be in the league? I don't get it.
Well, it's so funny too, right? Because it's not like Lonnie Walker is like the great, like some kind of like all-star or something like that. But he's good enough that it's just odd and sort of not incongruous that he is not in the NBA. It's like,
it doesn't make sense.
But why?
Right.
Though?
He's good enough. He's good enough to be, I don't know, he's good enough to be on somebody's bench.
Yeah.
I thought.
Well, it's kind of like, to use a similar, I think Malik Beasley's a better player, but it's kind of like if like somebody like Malik Beasley was not in the NBA, right? And you're just like, why?
Right.
Like he's good. Like
he's good. He's good enough. He's still young. Like I don't. I'm very confused by the Lonnie Walker situation. I very clearly was wrong. I thought he was going to be competing, for like 8th man. I thought he was going to
and it's like you were wrong, but at the same time, you, like, to your point, right? You look at last night's rotation, and it's like, well, that's why we all wondered it. Like that's why it felt so reasonable to have him there, because like it wasn't so much that it was like he was gonna. It was like, okay, he's replacing the O'Shea Brissett then, like the O'Shea Brissett who you trust to play those minutes and to fill those rotation slots.
Right.
And if Jordan Walsh isn't that guy, then you did kind of need a Lonnie Walker type or a O'Shea Brissett type or whatever it might be.
Anyway, so that all plays into these rotation questions, which not really a question, right? The Celtics are very good, obviously. There's nitpicky stuff. They're pretty good. So, but I don't want to ignore these little things because, okay, they're very good. They are the best team in the league. And I don't think like we could sit there and be like, right now, I don't think it's that close. But regardless, wherever anybody puts them, you can always be better potentially. So Lonnie Walker,
or even just more secure, more safe, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, right. Like okay, we've got 2 locks on the door, but a third one would make me feel even better in the neighborhood that I'm in. You know what I mean? Like, there's just like,
that awful
why
neighborhood.
not?
Yeah.
My neighbor. Oof. Um, yeah, so it's just something to watch. They do have the open spot. They have Jaden Springer, who I don't know. We'll see. I thought he was going to maybe grab some of these minutes, but that's not happening either. So if Joe only trusts a certain amount of guys, then maybe there is a move, and I don't know what it is, but maybe there is a move at some point this season where somebody goes and you can find a way to bring in somebody of value. I would just like to have that extra wing that you can trust at some point, because, well, if you're in the playoffs, why not? Like, why not have that extra guy there somewhere just in case? Because what if Derrick White just sprains an ankle in the Eastern Conference Finals? What if, there's always a what if there that you'd be like, well, okay, are you going with Jordan Walsh in the NBA Finals, or are you going with maybe you find somebody that's like a little bit more proven in the NBA? You're like, okay, this is your big shot, but I've seen you perform before, so I think you can do it. Or I don't know, maybe Jordan Walsh is going to be the guy by then. I don't know, but it's a question that right now is just kind of like, huh, and we'll see where it goes. And maybe in May we'd be like, okay, they should have done something, or maybe they did do something. 3-pointers. Oh my God. The people just, we'll talk about that. This is a fun conversation coming up next. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time's the place to go for those last minute tickets. You can go have some fun wherever you want to go have fun. Maybe it's a last minute. Oh, maybe I just want to go catch a Bruins game. They had a great game last night against the Toronto Maple Leafs. My family was there. Game Time, piece of cake. Get those tickets. Easy to get in, easy to get out. It's just great to get those deals. You use the Game Time picks. It filters out all the fluff, so you get the great deals on your seats. You get to see the panoramic view, so you know what you're getting into. The all-in pricing, you toggle that feature. The total price is up front. So curated seats, the final price, the view, the lowest price guarantee, because if you find those tickets somewhere else, you get 110% of the difference. They've got the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets to anything. It doesn't have to be sports. It could be theater, it could be comedy, it could be anything that sells tickets online. You're probably going to find those on Game Time. Create an account after you download the Game Time app. Use the code LOCKDOWNNBA. You get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKDOWNNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go check out Locked On NBA. Make that your second listen. 7 days a week now, covering the games after the night is over, covering the night in the NBA. So make sure you're checking out Locked On NBA. We've got a show during the day as well. So 2 shows now on the Locked On NBA feed. Go check them both out. Make them your second and third listen, I suppose. All right, let's get back to the Celtics conversation here with Tom Westerholm. There we go. Belt graphic. Always remember the belt graphic. I got to put like a big flashing sign in front of me. Belt graphic. For as long as the Celtics have the NBA belt. 3-pointers have been a topic because you tweeted this out, and I stay away from this topic on Twitter, but it does feel like, oh man, the Celtics are winning by hitting a lot of threes. Well, that's bad. Like 3-pointers haven't been the driver in the NBA for a long time. Like the team that hits the most threes in the NBA hasn't been the winning team for a long time now. The Celtics did it, and they took 61 in the opening night, and people went up in arms. And you're like, is it the threes?
Yeah.
Or is it who's taking the threes?
It's just telling who it is who's making the case. It's like, and look, here's my thing, right? My tweet that you referenced, right? It got a lot of reaction, which whatever. But like, my thing is like, if you want to make the case that like that there, if you want to make the case, which was made in the tweet that I referenced, that basketball is in a kind of dangerous spot with all the 3-pointers, I'm willing to listen because it is so math based, right? Like, and like there is something to the idea that sports, when there's like when there's kind of a way to solve a sport, it can affect things, and that can be kind of dangerous. Like I get that argument. I think where it really breaks down is when you use the Celtics as an example. And I mean, I get like I cover this team. I've watched every one of their games for more than a decade. Like I've seen every Celtics game, most of them either multiple times or
Yeah.
every field goal multiple times. So it's like,
Yeah.
of course, my opinion on it is a little skewed, but at the same time, it's like I've also watched a lot of hoops, and like when you watch this team play basketball, it's beautiful basketball. Anytime they create a 3-pointer, it didn't happen from somebody walking up and firing up a three. It didn't happen from one pick and roll, and then like it happens as a result of a lot of ball movement and a lot of player movement and a lot of stuff all happening. And like when you go back and watch, you can see all the calculations of like, okay, I'm going to take a couple steps here, and then I'm going to dish to this guy, and it's going to go to this guy, and it's like that's not basketball that puts the league in a dangerous place. Like, I understand it's a lot of threes. Sure. I even understand if you're like, hey, I want to see high flyers and big dunks and all that stuff. Great. But like the Celtics don't have those guys. So instead, they're using all their really good players. Oh, well, I guess they do. Jaylen Brown is pretty high flying and often does big dunks. So like, there's also that. It just felt a little bit suspiciously, those first couple weeks, like guys who maybe had a somewhat vested interest in a star player who happens to play for the Los Angeles Lakers, or a vested interest in the Los Angeles Lakers themselves, who are just all of a sudden like, it's just too many threes. You know what I mean? The NBA should step in and do something. It's like, dude, why are you calling for the Reddit moderators? Like, just like what? Like, don't ask for a manager. Just watch the game. Like, go home, Karen. I don't know.
The Celtics are experts at generating 3-pointers. And as Joe Mazzulla has said, and as we've repeated many, many, many times, the Celtics aren't being told, just go shoot 3-pointers. They're being told, go generate the best shot. The best shot happens to be, on many of these possessions, the open 3-pointer.
Yeah.
Because when Jaylen or Jayson drive, they draw a lot of attention. The Celtics are very good at driving. It's not like they never drive. They drive plenty. And they are just extraordinarily good at passing out of those drives and making the extra pass. If you drive and kick the ball out to the right corner, there's a very strong chance that possession is going to end with a shot out of the left corner. Like that's just where Boston ends up, right? That first pass is not always where the shot's coming from. And
I would say it's often not where the shot's coming. I don't have the stats, but eye test tells me that it's usually going somewhere else. Yeah.
It's usually going somewhere else because they bend and break the defense. You suck in the defense, you kick, overreaction, swing, another overreaction, swing, and there's nobody left to overreact because everyone's way out on the other side of the floor. And when you're wide open behind the 3-point, what are you going to do? Are you going to take 3 dribbles to take a shot from 12 feet? Or are you just going to take that shot where now this is where the math comes in? It's just what it is. It's just what it is. The Celtics, if the Celtics are doing anything, you can say they're breaking the game in a way that very few teams have been able to do.
Yeah.
But people need to like chill out and understand. And this is as much people need something to talk about.
Yeah.
And so they're gonna complain. People like to get on the Celtics because hating on the Celtics is good business. Because a lot of there's like tons of Celtics fans out there, but there are also tons of Celtics haters out there. Just like there are Laker haters, and like there's a reason why certain teams get discussed. So if you
and not only real quick, not only are there a ton of Celtics fans are pretty reactive, right? Like, so it's like, and if you're a media company and engagement is half of your, like, a huge part of how you make money, it's like, I'm sorry, it's like that. Then it's kind of an easy target to just, even if you say something that's kind of wrong about the Celtics, it's like, okay, great. Like, now I got 50, like now I got 500 some odd impressions, 500,000 some odd impressions on the social media app that I'm trying to get impressions on. It just kind of feeds itself.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. So they don't take into account, like, all right, well, this Celtics team is built unlike any other in the league at this point. This Celtics team is extraordinarily expensive. Next season, if they can run it back one more time, it's the absolute last time. So there is an end date. There is a hard expiration date on this carton of milk. You can tell. So you want to go and talk about rules changes, all this, like, buddy, this team is going away.
Yeah.
Like, it's going away in a year or two, and everything's going to be fine. They shoot this many threes because they've got 5 guys, if you count Peyton Pritchard, Tatum, Brown, White, Holiday, Pritchard, 5 guys in this team that can drive, and they can all make the pass. Those 5 guys, plus Al Horford, Porzingis when he comes back, so him, plus Sam Hauser, so 8 guys. All of those guys can make threes. 4 of those guys are elite.
Well, Xavier Tillman this year.
And Xavier Tillman this year. At least 3 or 4 of those guys are elite 40+% three-point shooters, and others can be elite. And right now, Jaylen Brown, 46%. Jayson Tatum, 48.5%. Derrick White, 43.5%. Drew Holiday, 60%. Al Horford, 57%. 42.3% for Peyton Pritchard. The only guy who's not hitting at an elite rate is Sam Hauser. And he's an elite three-point shooter. You've got a bunch of guys who can drive, who can pass. A bunch of guys who can catch that pass and shoot it or move the ball. It's just, they are stacked and can do anything. In a couple years, that's going to be replaced by guys who are going to be a little less than elite three-point shooters.
Yep.
They're not going to hit at the same rate because they're not going to be as good, because they're not going to be able to pay players who are as good. If everybody just waits, if everybody just shuts up and waits just a little bit.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, wait a couple of months. Those numbers you just read off, like,
are
these guys are great shooters. It's gonna level off a little bit, guys. This isn't.
I mean, I would love for Drew Holiday to hit 60% of his threes all season. No one has ever done that, right? No one has ever done that.
Something if he did.
Yeah. So.
And I mean, I'm sorry. It's just like, the issue isn't that the Celtics are taking so many threes. The issue is that the Bucks just lobbed Drew Holiday in the air to Brad Stevens and said, "Here, you want him?" Like, the issue is that the Spurs said, Romeo Langford and a pick for Derrick White. Yeah, let's do it. The issue is that the Sixers drafted Markelle Fultz instead of Jayson Tatum, and Danny Ainge just happened to read that draft perfectly. The issue is just that the Celtics have a ton of good players. Like, you can't legislate that out I don't know.
It's funny because you can go back the Jayson Tatum draft where they ended up getting the Sacramento pick from Philly because Philly wanted Markelle Fultz, and we were like, oh man, that pick, that was the one year where Sacramento went like crazy, and they were that pick ended up dropping to 14. Like, man, they didn't get a player out of that. But really, when you look at it, they got Romeo Langford in that spot, right? Yeah. And that pick still ended up becoming Derrick White, in a roundabout way. Yeah. So you can sit there and, like, if you really want to go back, you can say the Celtics traded down from 1 to 3 to get Jayson Tatum and kind of sort of Derrick White at that point. Like, so it's weird. Look, it is what it is, man. This team is, congratulations. It's kind of like maybe the league is finally going to come around to the fact that this is really a really, really, really good team, and these guys are really, really good players. And I don't know if they're considered a super team, then maybe a few of these guys can make, a few more of these guys can make all-stars and whatever these postseason award teams, because everybody's going to be like, oh yeah, they're actually super, like, great. Ran out of time. The warning sign, we already talked about the warning signs, so that was kind of like part of the routine. That counts. All right, well, solid. The Celtics play the Milwaukee Bucks next. The Bucks are 1-2, so they're off to a blazing start. They lost to the Bulls and the Nets. They beat the Sixers on opening night, and the Sixers didn't have Paul George or Joel Embiid. And then they lost to the Lakers. They lost to the Bulls at home and at Brooklyn. So I don't know what that means for the Bucks against the Celtics, but that's an early, like, kind of big game. Not like, I'm not going to say must win, but like, you gotta like show me something, if you're the Bucks.
I mean, Giannis did annihilate Vucevic in the Bulls game. So that happened. So
that happened. So, and then he wore the Mr. Potato Head costume at some point. Yeah. So that was fun because he's a dad.
Yeah.
All right. Tom, appreciate you as always. Thanks for hopping on.
Appreciate you, man.
And I always appreciate you listening, watching. Remember, on the feed now, there's a Locked On Celtics postcast. That will be very clearly marked on the after the game on our audio feed. You'll see postcast. It's a quick post game reaction. So that's going to be there. It's also going to be live on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube page. The Locked On Celtics YouTube page gets unchanged. So my podcasting completely stays the same. You just get added stuff there. So watch for Locked On Celtics postcast. Subscribe to this show. Subscribe on YouTube. Get into the comment section. Love seeing the comment section. Shout out to the Patriots fans. I wasn't telling you to abandon the team. I was joking around yesterday when I said, why would you want to watch the Patriots on Sunday? Just watch this podcast over and over again. And then the Patriots went out and had a thrilling win over the New York Jets. So that shuts me up. So thanks, New England Patriots. Hey, joke's on me. I actually enjoyed watching the game a little bit. So thanks to everybody in the comment section. Would love it now if you went and shared the podcast and told everybody that they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here in the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.